My name is Joey Balistreri. Welcome to my work table. Today I am doing another project with the beads that I received directly from the Czech Republic. The company is called Craftica, and the beads that I'm working with today came in the Czech Beads exclusive box for the month of November. It was such a stunning, gorgeous box, and they have another box called Bohem style that I also receive. And so sometimes once I've made a couple of projects and shared them with all of you, then I kind of mix up the beads and work with them. But I think everything that I'm using today is from the Czech Beads exclusive box, and I just need bead therapy today. It has been a difficult couple of days around here, and I said to myself, I need to string beads, and Czech beads make me so happy. The quality, the beauty, the colors, just amazing. And so I'm going to do a wrap bracelet because I want to do just a long stringing project, and I'm going to do a little funky element to my wrap bracelet. So what I have here is the bead stringing wire I'm going to be working with. It's my Soft Flex, my beloved 49 strand medium, all purpose, and I'm using the bone color. I love this bead stringing wire. I love my number 2 crimp tubes from Soft Flex company. I usually buy a lot and dump them all in a little jar. And I'm going to be using my magical crimping plier. And what you see here is the coolest little chain. I had this in my stash from a bead show, but my friend Stella, the founder and owner of DD Beads, has purchased some of this, and she has it for sale on her website, not only in this color, but in some other really cool colors. So if you like what I'm going to do with it, you can get this on DD Beads, and I will put links in the description box to the 2 boxes that I get from the Craftica company and any of my other supplies that I'm going to use that I know where I got them. I always spend a little time really, doing a really comprehensive description box under my videos so that it saves you time if you like a project or you like a product that you want to work with. But look how cool this little chain is. It has a whole bunch of teeny tiny little ball head pins, and each seed bead is a wire wrapped loop with a ball head pin and then attached in clusters to the links of this chain. It is so cool. I have done bracelets with it before, but it's really soft and just really like dimensional and cool. So I am going to mix that in with my wrap style bracelet. And the beads that you see here are my absolute favorites from the November Czech Beads exclusive box. And this here was one that I just love the color. I haven't decided yet if I want to keep this piece all in golds and creams, or if I want to do a section of this. I put it here because I love this bead so much. It's a little 5mm faceted bead. And so this is largely going to be a stringing project. So I'm going to get it started, and then I will do my patterns and my stringing off camera and come back and show you how I'm going to finish it up. But what I have done, and this may be difficult for you to see, let me get my fingers out of the way. I made a really small jump ring out of my Soft Flex 22 gauge anti-tarnish wire, and I just found the very end link of this little piece of chain. It's quite small, and there are these little things can be in the way of your links, so you may even, if you're working with this, just cut a few of them away so you have the space. But there's a jump ring on the end of that, and to that end I am going to take another jump ring that I made out of 18 gauge wire, and I'm going to, whoops, slipped out. I'm going to attach this magnetic clasp. Let me just open this a little bit wider, and I'm going to attach my magnetic clasp right to this end. Just make sure, since it is a clasp and it'll get pulled a little bit, I think that is so pretty. I did a thicker gauge jump ring and a larger one because I'm thinking that I'm going to hang some charms around that little jump ring. So that's going to start me off, and then I'm going to need a couple of these number 2 crimp tubes. And I am going to come to the other end of this little scrap. It's not really a scrap. I actually, I didn't measure, but I actually just cut a length off of what I had in my stash. And so here again, it's getting to that last little loop on this chain, and I'm going to feed on one of these crimp tubes, go to the other end and make my loop. So I'm just making a loop. Let me pull this so I can show you. Whoops. Don't want to loop around that part. So I'm just making a loop on my last link of that chain. And get my pliers in here to help me. That's a little bit too short. I don't want it to be rigid, but I do want a small loop. And then I'm going to use my magical crimping plier and come right here and make sure that tube is right in the center of the single divot. Close it. You can see that I've pinched the 4 corners of a tube, made 4 corners actually, and then place it in the divot in the opposite direction and close it again, and then just maintain the position in the plier. Just make sure it stays in that divot and just open and close and go around a few times, and it makes that tube turn into a little tiny bead. And you know, if you're have this tool and you're not having success with it, the 2 things that I learned from the learning curve on this is that you really have to make sure that you didn't chomp down too quickly and your tube not be centered in this divot. And the other thing is a really good quality thick walled number 2 crimp tube makes all the difference. The cheaper ones really don't work with that very well, and the Softflex company has just wonderful ones. So this is going to be just a stringing pattern, and what I think I'm going to do on this is create blocks, not color blocking, maybe a little color blocking, but pattern blocking, where you know, I concentrate like my a pattern and then move to another pattern and then another through the length of my bracelet. Now here, while I'm talking, I was trying to feed my cut in down through one of my Czech glass beads, and the hole is too small. It's not going to happen. I try to do that when possible, but it's okay if it doesn't go. I'm just going to snip that very close and start my stringing. So that's my plan, is to do my blocks of beads, and I am also, while I'm going to put that in there, I am going to dump out some of these Czech glass beads as well, just because I don't know if I'm going to need them with what I have here. But this is a Czech glass seed bead. Let's see, this is the 8-0. They come in 11-0, 6-0, and it matches in color to the things in the box, and it's just a great space filler. I love seed beads. So the idea here is to create those blocks of patterns so that when this wraps around my wrist, that it almost looks like I have stacked several bracelets. So I am just going to do some pattern play here. Oh, I didn't mention these. I literally don't know what these are. I went into my little miscellaneous seed bead box and I had these little frosted white seed beads, and they just look amazing on this. I just did a little test, but they just look amazing with everything else. So maybe I'm going to use those as spacers in between the gold. I'm not sure. And then the other thing I wanted to share with you is in our box we got these gold rose petal beads. I just love them. And what I did is made a really small jump ring out of 22 gauge wire, and I just fed it through the little hole at the top of this rose petal bead, and I did an odd number. I like working in odd numbers. It's pleasing to the eye. Like in home decor, in my design background, I did flower arrangements in odd numbers, and the wall hangings in odd numbers. So anyway, I did, I think, 7 of them, and just placed a little jump ring through the top, and somewhere in the length of my stringing, I'm planning to do a little cluster of these. So I am just going to start playing. For me, this pattern play is the best part of jewelry making, especially when I need bead therapy. It's just wonderful. Oh, and one thing I wanted to do too, I love these elongated gold splattered white Czech glass. They're pressed glass bicone. I love them. And before I use them all up, I'm going to take out 2 of these with a lot of gold splatter and set them aside for a pair of earrings before I inadvertently use them all up. And so I'm just going to string and play with some bead patterns. Let me make some pattern decisions here, and so I'll just do that off camera, and I'll come back and show you what I came up with. Okay, I've almost finished my stringing, and I made a few decisions. I did decide to keep this all gold and like whites, like snowy white, and I did go into my supplies and pull out some Czech glass pressed glass bicone beads in that same gold that matches the other beads that were in the box. They're just so gorgeous, and I love my pattern. I have this little rose petal section here, and I'll show you when I finish the stringing. And what else? Oh, and I added in, let me show you, I added in between those bicones a little flat disc spacer, just a little brass spacer that I had from my stash. I just felt like I needed a little bit of metal in my project, and I'm going to do 2 more of these, and that's going to finish my length. And while I was paused, I also designed my earrings and a little dangle charm to go on this. And what let me clamp this off, and I'll show you how I determined where to stop with my pattern. I checked it a few times. I wanted this to look like I'm wearing several bracelets at once. So I just laid my clasp across my wrist, and I just wrapped how many times? So that's like a 3 wrap, that's a 4, about a 4 wrap, and this brings me back around. It's a little hard to hold on to, but that brings me back around to my clasp, and that gives me my, like, it looks like I have a stack of 4 bracelets. So I'm going to stop there and do the same thing that we did on the other side. I'm going to first untangle myself, and I'm going to put a crimp tube on this side here. I have one in here. You get to it. Maybe I do. There it is. And I'm just going to put the crimp tube on. It's the exact same thing that we did on the other side, and I'm going to feed, let me have a look if I want to do another one of those 18 gauge jump rings on either side. I think I do. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. I have to, before I close it really well, I need to add it to my clasp, of course. Okay, it's nice and smooth. Can even separate it. And now I'm just going to repeat what I did on the other side. Okay, that's better. Now I'm going to trim this as closely as I can, and I am going to do one more thing. I want to add a fluted decorative crimp cover to the spot where I transitioned from this chain to this little dimensional section. It's not necessary and you don't have to do it, but I think I'm going to do it. I just want a little something there for that transition. So let me slip this on and see how it looks. Yeah, I do like it. Yeah, I like that little gold bead. Okay, let me just take my time and make sure that that little tiny magically crimped tube is right into my little petal. Can you see? And then I'm just going to gently close up this little gap on this cover, this crimp cover. The secret to getting a crimp cover on is not to be too aggressive and just to be really gentle. The metal's very malleable and soft, and you really just want to trick the eye so that you don't see that it's actually not a bead. That is so pretty. Okay, that makes me much happier. I like that. And this is done. I love this. This is so great for travel because with a bracelet like this, you can actually wear this as a necklace too with all the different patterns, just a kind of a chic, elegant boho. Look at that. I love the dimension to it. I love how we go from my little stars to the chain. It's just so sweet. I love being able to see those elongated bicones. It's so pretty, and I love my clasp, and I got my length perfect. It looks like I have stacked on 4 bracelets. I love it. So one more thing to do is to add my charm. It's just going to be a little dangle with just the elements that are in the piece, but I wanted to show you the earrings that I designed. So let me get my pliers in here so that I can show you. I decided to really showcase those elongated bicones that I love so much and just make a drop. And I started out just saving 1 for each ear, but I ended up doing 3 for each ear that I saved out, and that's why I pulled in some of these Czech glass bicones from my stash. And the other thing is these little Czech glass drops are from the other Craftica box, the Czech Beads exclusive that I got. I did the video yesterday on that, so I'm just pulling in the beads from both boxes. I love getting both boxes. And then for these, I have my gold-filled lever back ear wires that are interchangeable that they could go on, but I also, this is the earrings that I did with the other box from this company, and I did these on kind of a sparkly kidney shaped ear wire that's also interchangeable, so these drops can come off and I can put these on. So I'm going to show you how I did these earrings. It's super simple. I'm using 20 gauge wire and I'm using my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper, and I'm just going to put that wire in just past the back jaw of the plier. It makes a fresh cut, so I don't need my pliers to get a fresh cut on my wire. And then while I'm maintaining control, just close it, make the loop, and pull the wire down, smooth, warm, straighten, and see that the loop is now centered on the wire. And when I take it off the tool, I have this beautiful, simple loop, and it is consistent with every other loop in my earrings. So I love it for that. And then I'm just going to thread on one of those elongated bicones and repeat the same thing. This time I want to be careful. Gently close the tool and be careful that my bead is not too close to that front jaw so that I don't crack my bead. It needs a little space to make that cut. I just watched it make a fresh cut for me, and I can close it, and now I just want to pull everything down just like we did before, so this loop is centered on the wire and on the other loop. And then I like to tweak things. They are misaligned a tiny bit, so this acts as a plier, another plier, and that component is done. And perfect. I love it. And I have to do another one of these briolette wraps for my charm, so I went ahead. I like to do my earrings if possible at the same time because it's amazing to me how quickly you forget what you've done when you're making a pair of earrings. So I'm just going to open one of my simple loops and add on the one that I just made. So it's like a little mini beaded chain. I just love how they dangle, and I love how this features my favorite bead in the box. I just loved that bead. And then because I had 3, I did my wrapped loops on this drop going perpendicular to my mat or front to back. So this one will go in my ear wire, and then this one will go on the bottom and be facing the right way. So the orientation matters. So again, just open that simple loop and thread that on and close it. And I'm just going to work harden a little bit too. And my earring is done. And as I said, they can go on into any interchangeable ear wires. Oh, they're beautiful on those. These are just something I had from my stash, and I just love those. They make a great gift. And I actually did take my Permalac anti-tarnish in the semi-gloss, and I brushed this entire ear wire. I brushed over these little crystals and over everything, and they still sparkle. So they were done from the other video, but I just love these. I guess I'll leave one on each. That is so pretty. So I can make them a little less dramatic, a little bit more dramatic. And so with that same piece of wire, I'll show you, I used the one-step looper and saved 3 of those Orion beads from my stash and 2 of my little brass disc spacers. So that's going to be the top of my little drop that I'm creating. And then I'm going to do another BRACELET wrap. So I'm just going to put the 20 gauge wire right through that little teardrop and just pull it up, leaving myself a little bit of space on this side. And then I'm just going to take my pliers and gently pinch these together at the top of the bead, just so it kind of mimics that little point at the top of the bead, and just get them lined up. And then I'm going to come in with my cutters and just get rid of this just a little bit above where they meet. See, I just made a little cut just a little bit above where they meet. And then I'm going to do a normal wire wrapped loop. Just grab a hold of it, a 90-degree bend, put my round nose pliers in, bring that wire up and over the barrel, and then rotate it out of my way so the bottom barrel just became the top barrel. And then I'm going to continue to wrap around, making that loop. If you need to line up your loop so that it's lined up, now's the time. And when you take it away, your loop is ready to be wrapped. And now I am going to wrap right on top of the cut wire as well as the wire that's formed out of the loop. So it is encased inside my wraps, and you can't see the cut part. So just like that, just holding on to the loop and wrap down until you like the looks of it, or making sure that the wire we trimmed is encased in there. That looks fabulous. Can do one more turn around the back and just trim off, and it's kind of like I did on my other ones, just kind of tuck it under. Just trim that away. And I also like to take a second here to tighten my coils. Just it's just my habit. I fuss with my jewelry. I like to make it as perfect as I can. And that little teardrop is ready, and now I'm going to come to this component exactly the same as the earrings. Open it, add that little drop to the bottom, and now I'm going to take another little jump ring here and choose my spot on my wrap bracelet. And I think I'm going to go right here, open this wide enough. I am going to put this around the whole circumference of my bracelet, so over everything. The inclination is to go inside a loop, and you certainly can, but I do my dangles and drops around the whole circumference of my pieces where possible, because especially on a wrap bracelet, because no matter which way I wrap it or which way I pick it up to put it on, my little charm will not be kinked or stuck. It will just move freely around the whole piece. So I'll show you. Let me close this really well and make sure I've got a perfect circle here. To put my pliers on the inside of my jump rings and even work hard in my jump rings. But then my little dangle, no matter which way I put this bracelet on, it just goes 360 degrees. It flows freely, and this beautiful, beautiful wrap bracelet is done. This is one of the most unique wrap bracelets I could even imagine. I love the idea of making part of my strung section an actual chain. And I love the idea of having these little rose petal beads, really dimensional, kind of pop up. I just threaded them on with jump rings and put one of those little frosted seed beads in between. And this is just absolutely stunning. This makes me so happy. And I absolutely needed bead therapy today. That's why I did such a long stringing project, because I just needed to make bead patterns and play with my beads and stack them and string them. And so look how stunning this is. I just love it. It is so textural and so interesting. Like no matter which way it turns, I just love it. I love the stars, the bicones, the little cha-cha chain that I have in there. I just love it. It makes me so happy. This was my bracelet that I did yesterday with the other box from Craftica. This was the Bohem style box, and this was not one of the projects that it was intended for, but that's what one of the things that I did with the beads and a couple pairs of earrings. So I absolutely love, love, love getting these boxes, the beads directly from the Czech Republic. It's so amazing to get such high quality beads and a curated sampler. I get both of the boxes that they offer, and I really, really love them. So I hope you got a little inspiration or picked up some kind of a technique from my video today, and I hope you're all safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. Don't forget to check the description box. See you in the next video. Ciao, creative friends.